afternoon to another Friday spiritual lecture on a Saturday afternoon. Things just got a bit busy yesterday and sadly I couldn't be with you, but I am thrilled to be back. So the question really is, how are you all doing? We're going through quite a journey at the moment, to put it mildly. We've currently got 5 planets retrograde, which doesn't make things easy, and we're also being pushed in these retrogrades to really understand and explore our spirituality and understand and explore what it is that we want. What it is that drives us. Where do we need our boundaries? What is it that excites us in life? And for so long, I think we have been asked not what do we want, but instead the question of what do you have to do? And it's a totally opposite question to how we should be living our lives. In reality, not this 3D reality, but in reality of spirit, we are designed to live according to our joys, according to our passions. But this has been overridden by the societal rules that have said you have to put your duty first, you have to do what is right first. But that rightness, have you noticed, is always for somebody else. When someone says you have to do what is right, it is always the individual giving up what brings them joy in order to help somebody else. And whilst this is important, we all rise higher by standing on the shoulders of each other. It's too often been used in order to get people to sacrifice their own desires, to sacrifice their own wants. And individuals then get left behind, their joy gets left behind, their peace. And this has led to the situation that we're in, that people don't actually know what brings them joy. They don't have an understanding of what it is that's in their heart. And then they feel very left behind. They feel depressed because no one has ever asked them and said, what is it that you want? What is it that's actually going to bring you joy, that's going to make you feel better? And taking action for other people whilst honourable, we forget that being joyful within ourselves actually helps people too. Because when we raise our vibration, then everybody else's vibration comes up. We only need to spend time with somebody who is happy and enthusiastic in order to feel better within ourselves. It is so clear how one person's energy so deeply affects another. But instead, we have been taught to walk around and be miserable, taught that life is suffering, and we have built a system around us that has constantly taught us that we are living a life of suffering. From religion through to governments, through to, all these groups we've set up, it is a constant stream of look how awful life is, look how much suffering goes on in your life. And instead, surely we should be teaching people that say, look at the beauty in your life, feel gratitude for what you've got, appreciate what you've got. How do you take another step towards making yourself feel more joyful? But what we've done is make people feel so selfish for looking after themselves. Right from the moment that we are raised, that we are born, we are constantly taught, no, you can't have more. No, you shouldn't have more. Oliver Twist, there it is, written straight down. I want some more. So the whole message that comes through is, if you want more, it is bad. Well, this isn't how the universe works. The universe doesn't care what you want. It will keep giving and giving according to what you focus on. So if you continually focus on, oh, look at, I mustn't be selfish, I mustn't ask for more, I mustn't do this. Imagine the life that you are creating for yourself. Imagine this nightmare scenario that you are building up. But if we drop the guilt, if we drop the shame, if we start saying, Actually, I want to walk a pathway that is just one stepping stone after another of what brings me joy, of what makes me happy. Right? Imagine doing that. Imagine then the life that you would be creating around you. Imagine the way your energy would expand. Imagine how you would influence all those people around you to feel good within themselves as well. And more than this, I am being reminded that when we look at disease, and I've been talking about disease in another post, disease is a signal that constantly says, what needs changing in your life? Why aren't you listening? What is it that is making you unhappy? What needs to be released from your life, and what do you need to bring in? Now imagine if you walked a pathway of joy, you walked a pathway that constantly brought in all the things in your life that you wanted, that made you feel elevated and high vibration. And if you listened all the time to yourself about what is the next stage of your life evolution, of the next stage of building your dream life, let me ask you this. Why would you need to get sick if you're constantly listening and constantly giving yourself what makes you feel good? What would be the point of disease? We wouldn't need that message. It would be incredible. You know, there is always this pattern that we see when people go on holiday. It's like, oh, I feel great. My back doesn't ache and I'm not tired and I feel amazing. I have this energy. And as soon as they come back to work, back to life, it's like, oh, the back hurts again. I feel tired. I'm exhausted. I don't have a clear head. Well, there is a really, really big clue in there, isn't there? The clue is, what are you coming back to that is making you feel so bad? And why do you have to have that in your life? Well, that's for you to answer, isn't it? Why do you feel that you have to have that innate suffering within your life? Does it serve a purpose? Does it make you feel more important? Does it... I don't know. We have to ask that of ourselves. And when you get the answer, sometimes it's so simple, but it's also so shocking. And you think, my God, I am constantly doing this to myself. Why? To gain attention? Yeah, sometimes we do it just to gain attention. I keep going back to the stories about Princess Diana, you know, and supposedly be right. Is anybody looking? Okay, yes, they are. Now I'll throw myself down the stairs. We don't need to use disease or suffering in order to get attention from other people. Instead, why not give yourself that attention? Love yourself, make your life joyful. And then why do you need somebody else to come in and support you and pick you up? This is, I know we're not used to standing in our own power. We are still in the state where being the victim is the most powerful condition that we have because they garner the attention. But one day you may choose not to be the victim. One day you may choose instead to stand in your own power, to stand in your own joy, and make decisions that truly benefit you, and to walk this new pathway. One that says, I am fully empowered and I take responsibility for myself and I find joy and peace in all that I do. Maybe that's going to happen one day if you start asking yourself those questions. But only you can do that. You know, other people can assist you in knowing where to start. They can assist you in stepping into those new patterns, but you have to ask yourself, what's the next stage? How do I transfer this life of suffering into one of joy? What is it that's really going to create that for me? So those are your choices. And when you are done being the victim and done thinking that suffering is worthy, then you can start creating this beautiful pathway of joy, and you can walk the pathway to your joy, nobody else's, just yours, and know that it is not selfish. Now I can feel this light language is really going to come bursting through. They're ever so eager. They're literally clapping their hands behind me going, yay, come on, let's do it. So I'm going to let it come through, and I hope you will enjoy this activation. I'm not sure what it's going to bring, but let's just go find out. With gratwarutis marukai dar rohorung kamara kudi de dar boroshin kaza. Gori bitiandar to kora kamarka de chku goran zanar that orbitish nasana the kayar goritisia. Karodaraita, no kormaroriske, sanararat varagutus kuata, karabadati kishkuan. Tanisharan, satatayan norma, tapatikio, komarata kashe. Morada de distoran, shinkishwashkio squarata, karotish navaras, varatatisi. Janiarun the koraba, kiora shadias, kamarita dosia, tanuerashna. Burabikiu karot ku armajana kawari sitija yituranja parta doshnewe asite kemora tanura dishi murabijin koisha tatajara to norora bisieta navara to kukar mukwara tanura ditishki yetsata taturobaran mara takora tarudi kami yetarodu tiaranshkas marata tuaranshkas yetararita marwaraki Tanoda jaur tish paninasi tando darun to corna chichiana niamaro to baracabra kai gor tishi kokor mashasa muraita taradibia torando no dar si tariti ja yotara marmoneti waramaro aredi si shetiador sator Naribari kior kukumarnzi Tora ayarazi, taridea, maranishki yokura, tarazisi, the karora maradayaro nokora kayora razisi. They talk about how these rhythms, these patterns go back through generations. And we have to go back and look at the lessons that we've taken on from our parents and our grandparents. And as much as they say salmon swim upstream always to the same place, we must not be the salmon that keeps following our ancestral line back to exactly the same place. Tanana yishisha maro desia ta korora managata zi the dadaya maru hita kora. When we keep following that same pattern, we will continue doing the same things as our parents, learn the same lessons. At some point, you have to become conscious and become the pattern breaker. Maraninya warad aritish kumarada titura barasikora nanakara dotokishe. And recognize that there is no honor in simply doing the same thing as your parents. The role of parents was to bring up an individual. And if they choose to make their own path, then the parents will be proud and must allow them to do this, to forge their own way. We must not take on the responsibility of continuing the same pain of our parents. Taniora, sanana siser, tari nina mora di te che ora nana ki ora na, tatukorodona, marizazana. So there are so many lines, so many avenues that we have to Sorry, I clearly wasn't. They clearly weren't finished. But you do not have to walk the same path as anybody else just because it's well trodden by your family. There are so many ways to break free. Maronanishiso. Marino arandora marashisa. So we must become the pattern breakers to set ourselves free to walk this path of joy. Oh, that was a bit different, but so joyful. So yes, lots and lots and lots of information coming through there that we can take on, that we can use within our lives to create something new and beautiful and to be a light for everybody else that they can then stand up and follow and say, yes, I want this. So thank you so much for joining me here on a Saturday, and I will be back, hopefully on a Friday. But I wish you the most wonderful weekend ahead. And as always, please do follow me on Facebook or on YouTube or wherever you're watching this, so make sure you don't miss any more of these events. And I look forward so much to seeing you again. And please do comment, reach out if you need anything. Many light blessings. Bye-bye.